Dr. Sharif Abdullah offers a unique, hopeful, and visionary perspective on the persistent challenges of our time. His perspective is shaped by his urban upbringing of poverty and violence, his Ivy League education, and his work with impacted communities in America and in 45 countries around the world. His spiritual outlook is rooted in the consciousness of dozens of religions, faith traditions, and spiritual practices. Sharif offers this unique viewpoint, helping us chart a course that explains where we've been, where we are now, and how we get to a positive future that works for all living beings.
On the concept of race, and perhaps the concept of any single focus that you may have, whether it's race or global climate change or anything like that. Before I get started, I want to tell you something that happened just recently. I went to my post office box and found my post office box full of checks, which is really, really nice. Better than full of the AARP invitations for me to join, or the different medical plans that are going out there. That the checks were actually interesting and very welcome and very needed. I think I said something to someone at some point in time regarding the fact that you're receiving these videos without us asking you to pay for them. So I'm asking you to pay for them. And the payment goes to being able to do this, being able to have the time to do this, being able to think about these things. And this is really important to me. I'm doing them whether I get paid or not. But your contributions, whether it's small or large, is something that helps keep all of this going. So I'm doing my part, you do your part, all of us will get to the finish line together. The finish line being a world that works for all. Okay, let me get started. This whole question of what we're focusing on as a society, the things that our media is focusing us on, whether it be the racial divide in our society, whether it be the political divide in our society, whether it's some problem that it's focusing us on. It doesn't get us where we need to get to. It doesn't give us the kind of focus that we need to have. And ultimately, it's a problem. It's a problem that is going to continue to distract us from the things that are truly bothering us, the things that are truly pointing us to the kind of society that we need to be getting to. Let me share something with you, if I may. Some of you have seen this in my presentations before, but we've got a number of things that are facing us as human beings on this planet. We have a number of things that I call the 12 global challenges. And I'm actually going to read these out loud to you so that you can get an idea of what it is that we're going through. Security, water, food, energy, health, politics, economics, education, habitat, ecology, media, and spiritual and cultural issues. Now, nowhere in there did I say race or ethnicity. Nowhere in there did I even say global climate change. Nowhere in there did I say capitalism. And you look at all the people who are focused on these subsections of the 12 global challenges. The subsection that's interesting to us, not the things that we're actually facing. Some of you have seen me talk about the one issue that has 12 presenting symptoms to it. I talk about these things and everybody looks at them, and we don't do anything about it. So let me share my screen again. So we've got this situation that we call the mess. This is from my book, Creating a World That Works for All. And the aspects of the mess, the 50 aspects that are driving us, this is the push that's pushing us to a whole different way of thinking about ourselves, of thinking about our interactions with each other. And you'll notice racism is there. Racism is alive and well in our society, but it's one of 49 different issues. If it's number one, it's not possible to fix that one thing to the exclusion of the other 49. It's not possible to identify this one thing without reference to the consciousness that created it in the first place. And that our issue is changing the consciousness, not over-focusing on this one issue that we're calling racism, or sexism, which you see is on the list also. What we have to do is recognize that whatever the consciousness is that creates racism, I've got that same consciousness within myself. I'm a carrier of the disease. I'm a victim of the disease. That duality, being the villain and also being the victim at the same time, is something that each and every one of us faces on this planet. Václav Havel, in his book Living in Truth, talked about a totalitarian system that we're living in. But unlike any other totalitarian system, there's not a strong person at the top. There's no Politburo about to overthrow anything. He talked about this being the system of auto-totality. This is a totalitarian system on autopilot. Nobody's in control of it. Nobody can cut it off. Nobody can actually turn it on. What we have to do in the face of this is withdraw our consciousness from the problem. We know that the structure I just showed you is not 50 problems. We have one problem with 50 presenting symptoms. That one problem is the problem of our consciousness. If you want to spend all of your time focusing on just one issue, you've got the luxury to do that. The Titanic's going down. People on the lower decks are already wet. I mean, it's not theoretical. Anybody who's sleeping outside right now, it's not theoretical. Anyone who has not had adequate food to eat in a society where there's plenty of food, this stuff isn't theoretical. But if you're sitting around with your friends and you're talking about just one issue, or something that's just happening to those people over there, then you're not paying attention. I would invite you to pay attention, to look at the totality and look at what it takes for us to change that totality. It's not 50 problems. It's one problem, 50 presenting symptoms, and we will be able to shift ourselves out of that. When I change my consciousness, when I change what's here and what's here. So how do we do that? I'm going to talk about that in the next time that we get together. If you appreciate the work that's being done, I invite you to hit the like button, people pay attention to that. No, I pay attention to that. If I see something that looks interesting with no likes to it, yeah, I tend to pass it by. Hit the subscribe button if you actually want to have more information about the next time that that one of these videos comes out. And copy the URL and send this to somebody else. Send it to a bunch of somebody else's and ask that they actually look at it, ask that they pay attention to it, and ask that they you can create a study group to talk about these kinds of things to get you from over focusing on any one thing. So thank you. And part 2 of this this part of our conversation will be coming up next time. So thank you.
You are invited to participate in the discussions and activities that will define a positive future for all. We are at the cusp of the expansion of our human consciousness, beyond the limitations of our past. Together, we can envision a world that embraces our human potential. Together, we can create a world that can truly work for all living beings.